I wanted to have my own web series, so here it is.
For those of you not yet in the know of what it's really like when you decide to go into showbiz. I'm up by 6 to brush the snow off my old dented car, which I'm too poor to fix. The mirror is taped on and the back door will close and always stays ajar. I rush its routine to find I missed the train by 1 whole minute. On the next one between a woman who is too large and my hilt to the hilt back like I'm squashed in it. How can I awake and make myself steer through the cold crippling career where I am told I'm not like 43 for B and B? I cannot stay. I asked this girl to call me if she goes, and I hop on the A to go to NOLA where I got an appointment, but first I must change my clothes.
It takes years, sometimes decades, to earn a living in an artistic field. While I would love to support myself solely from my writing, at least I'm lucky enough to earn enough money playing piano like Ralph. Though when I was starting out, I had loads of odd jobs. I worked for Zagat Survey's theater guide for a few years. I would wait after shows and get the audience to fill out surveys, and then those results would be tabulated and a few months later published in the Zagat Theater Guide, months after some of those shows had closed. It was almost as pointless as trying to get Matt LeBlanc to stop sleeping with his teenage stalker fans. I worked as an election supervisor and got paid $100 to sit at the voting booth for a day to make sure that no one cheated, like when April stuffed all the ballots for prom king for Andy. I was an SAT tutor for a few years, and one term I even taught a class of rowdy juniors. Those kids were harder to control than the inmates on Orange is the New Black. I've done a lot of focus groups. I've done tests at hospitals where they've put me in an MRI machine and strapped me up and then monitored my responses to various stimuli. But I promise and swear that I have never sold my sperm like Joey Tribbiani. Oh, and one survival job that many people get every 6 years or so is jury duty, where you get paid $40 a day to sit there playing on your iPad. Though the first time I got jury duty was pre-iPad, so I actually had to talk to people. And I ended up going out to lunch with a few of them, and we had a great time, and we came back from lunch, and we all got called to go to the same courtroom for the same case. And I got very excited. I thought maybe I'd be like Veronica Mars, and I could be in charge of the jury. It would be so much fun. And we get to the courtroom, and they call our names one at a time, and we almost end up in a row together in the jury booth, and I'm just cracking up, and they're cracking up. It's such a coincidence that we all went out to lunch together, and the judge is like, what's going on? What's so funny? So I happily and long-windedly, hilariously explained the whole story of jury duty and how we were becoming BFF, and we had this wonderful lunch, and we couldn't believe we were all sitting here together. It was just so funny that we were all there, and I was cracking up, and the judge was cracking up, and all the jurors were cracking up, and everyone was laughing, except for the lawyers. Let's just say I got voted off that jury faster than the contestants on Project Runway. Auf Wiedersehen!
In the bathroom, I put on a skirt and stanky boots and frizz my hair. The B&B girl calls and says no nodding will be seen at all down there. That's unfair, but not rare. In the room, I do the monologue I crammed the night before and act like a doped-up, roped-up, sleazy whore. I improv an exotic dance and am offered the chance to come back at 2. Woohoo!
job was working at Cold Stone Creamery in Times Square when it first opened. I thought it was a cute idea because we got to serve ice cream and sing at the same time, but it turns out that it's actually not really singing so much as screaming at the top of your lungs while tourists harass you.
Yeah, my worst survival job was I had to greet tourists coming off of a big cruise ship down here in the pier, except it was like negative 10 degrees. We were wearing dress shoes and my feet were freezing, and we're making about $11 an hour before taxes. It sucked.
I had gotten a work permit to work in England. I thought it was going to be beautiful. I ended up working at a McDonald's in a nasty little seaside town called Skegness. Skegness is exactly how it sounds. It is skeggy. It's full of gypsies and heroin addicts.
So I was working for the IRS calling delinquent taxpayer truck drivers. So it was totally sexist. They had me calling because I have this sweet voice, right? So I would call and I'd be like, "Hi, it's Marcia." And they'd be like, "Hey Marcia, what do you want?" And I'd be like, "I'm with the IRS." And they would hang up on me. It was great.
So I worked at the Gap one summer, and my supervisor was like, "Today, the Gene Wall is yours."
Yeah.
Well, my worst job was, I was a telemarketer. Well, that sucked. I would call people during sex, during dinner, during whatever. So basically, I was the biggest nuisance ever. But the worst part of it wasn't the phone calls. Like, there was a supervisor who was just really like skeevy and pervy, and we actually had 16-year-olds working there, so he would make them sit on his lap, and he would hold the phone up to them and go, and there was like this guy that hit on me. He was trying to get a date with me, and he had like purple gums, and his teeth were like, okay. So yeah, like, and there was like another guy who would whisper nasty things to me while I was working making phone calls.
Oh, lovely.
So basically everything that you see in the movies about awful jobs, this was true, and this really happened. It was awful. Ugh.
I got my money randomly and actually get seen by a company who's already cast. But I kept the pushy monitor that pull a monologue out of my tushy. Afterwards I have to leave a monitor's prohibit me since I am not in equity. I have to go to Mickey D's. Smelling like fish, I interviewed a telemarket shit. Yes, it sounded delish, but doesn't offer flexibility, so there was no way to commit. Yogurt for dinner, I have to change their stuff from salt, and someone needs to be half dressed, but at least thinner. Hey, I go to Chinatown, get lost, and find no one speaks English there but me. 2 songs I learned, and I have to improv. Scats, good yum, so I'm doing things like this, and that. At night I'm drained, exhausted, disappointed, empty shell, wondering what I have gained from this awful, never-ending day, worse than a day burning in hell.
Worst day jobs. Let's see. Could it be when I was 18 and sold knives door to door and nearly cut off a child's finger and just narrowly avoided a lawsuit? Maybe. Was it working at Bubba Gump Shrimp until 2:30 in the morning, running to Penn Station to catch the last train back to Long Island, or wait till 5 a.m. and then wake up at 6 a.m. to go to an audition, and then at the end of that audition day, find a piece of shrimp fall out of my hair that had been there for days? Maybe. Or maybe it was this last Times Square restaurant job where the woman's locker room was in the guest bathroom. So I would keep like drinks and medicine back there and whatever. And one time I got reprimanded by one of the managers, and I was like, well, I go in there to get a drink and I needed some Advil. I have a headache. And she's like, that's not what you went in there for this time. She went into the bathroom to listen to me pee and then walk back out. That was the last straw.
The saddest part is now the phone will never ring, and I'll no longer feel a thing, and I will waste each day this winter, summer, fall, and spring. And if I'm lucky, I will get to sing for 30 seconds, and then have my hopes and dreams and my emotional extremes.
Another dream a lot of people have is finding the one and getting married. And weddings is the topic next time. See you then on Everyday Little Seth. I wanted to have my own